Now let us get on with the lateral and medial sides of the leg. So in the lateral side of the leg, we have the two important retinacula, that is superior and inferior peroneal retinacula, and then the muscles. So in the superior peroneal retinaculum, the attachments include lateral malleolus to the calcaneum. That is, it is attached laterally to the anteriorly to the posterior margin of the lateral malleolus, and then as it is going laterally, it goes posteriorly to the lateral surface of calcaneum. Okay, and then the inferior peroneal retinaculum, it is situated inferior to the lateral malleolus, and it is attached to anterior part of superior surface of the calcaneum. Remember the non-articular part? So it is continuous with the stem of inferior extensor retinaculum, and inferiorly it is attached to the calcaneum, that is the lateral surface as it is present on lateral side. So superior goes from lateral malleolus to calcaneum, inferior goes from calcaneum to calcaneum. And what happens is a septum attached to the peroneal trochlea divides the space deep to the reticulum into two parts. And the peroneal retinacula, they hold the peroneal tendons in place, that is peroneus longus and brevis. Tertius comes under anterior compartment of the leg. So under the superior retinaculum, both the tendons have common synovial sheath and fall under a single compartment, whereas in the inferior retinaculum, remember opposites, that is brevis. Peroneus brevis lies in superior compartment and longus lies in inferior compartment. And clinical anatomy is tenosynovitis of the peroneal tendons, which is inflammation of the tendon sheaths of the peroneal muscles. Okay. So, and then if the superior peroneal retinaculum is torn, the tendons can get dislocated to front of the lateral malleolus. And then when we talk about the peroneal muscles, we have peroneus longus and peroneus brevis, or fibularis longus and fibularis brevis. So it is very easy because you have peroneus, that means it is coming from fibula, yes or no? So take the fibula bone. Already the medial aspect of the fibula was taken by the anterior compartment muscles. So you have the lateral surface of the shaft of fibula, yes or no? So peroneus if you take the lateral surface, take the middle part again. Okay, in the middle part, divide it into anterior half and posterior half. So peroneus longus takes origin as it is long from the head, upper 1/3, and posterior half of the middle 1/3 of lateral surface of shaft of fibula. Peroneus brevis, as upper 1/3 is taken, so what is remaining? Anterior half of middle 1/3 and also lower 1/3, and also the septa. So that is origin of peroneus brevis. Insertion. So the peroneus longus, both of them, they pass deep to the peroneal retinacula, runs and then the longus is inserted onto lateral side of the base of first metatarsal and also adjoining part of medial cuneiform bone. And then brevis is inserted onto the lateral side of base of fifth metatarsal bone. As brevis is short, it cannot travel too much, so laterally only it extends a little bit onto the lateral side of base of fifth metatarsal. Nerve supply is by superficial peroneal nerve itself. And then actions, that is both of them are everters of the foot. So paralysis of the peroneus brevis and longus occurs due to injury to the nerve that supplies them, that is superficial peroneal nerve, and hence the foot cannot be everted at the subtalar joint. And when we talk about the superficial peroneal nerve, which is the nerve of this compartment, that is lateral compartment, the root value is L5 and S1. It is a smaller terminal branch of common peroneal nerve. As I told you again, the common peroneal nerve, it winds around the neck of the fibula. So this begins there. This superficial peroneal nerve, the branch from it, runs through the peroneal muscles, and then it becomes superficial because superficial peroneal nerve, right? So it becomes cutaneous, and then in the distal part it becomes cutaneous. Okay, so relations. So it begins on lateral side of neck of fibula under the cover of upper fibers of peroneus longus, as it is present in upper 1/3. So it descends through the substance of peroneus longus in upper 1/3. Middle 1/3, it goes between both the longus and brevis. And then in the lower part, it descends in a groove between peroneus brevis under the cover of deep fascia. Okay. And then finally, it pierces the deep fascia to become superficial and divides into medial and lateral branch, which descend into the foot. So the branches are cutaneous branches, through which it supplies the lower 1/3 of lateral side of leg and dorsum of the foot. And then the medial branch, one for the big toe and other for the adjoining toes, and the lateral branch for the third and adjoining sets of third, fourth, fifth, and communicating branches to communicate with saphenous and deep peroneal nerves, and lateral branch communicates with the sural nerve. And clinical anatomy same. So superficial peroneal nerve can get entrapped if it penetrates the deep fascia. It may also be involved in compartment syndrome. Its paralysis causes loss of eversion at subtalar joint. When we talk about the medial side of the leg, we have sartorius gracilis semitendinosus, where they insert onto the medial aspect of upper end of tibia. And then they are called gyropes because these three muscles are from different compartments of the leg, supplied by different nerves that are the respective nerves of that compartment, and they help in stabilization, so that is why they act as gyropes. And then anserine bursa is a large bursa. It separates these three tendons at their insertion. And then tibial collateral ligament is morphologically the degenerated part of adductor magnus, and these are the important points related to medial side of the leg. Okay, that's it.